Hey guys, okay, so we're gonna do another grading of products, makeup products. Whoa, almost lost it. And today it is going to be concealers, okay? We're gonna be grading the concealers. I'm not gonna necessarily say ranking them because they're all good, or else I wouldn't have them. Well, that's not 100% true, but we'll talk about that in a minute. The concealers that I have, I want to say, I think I might have gotten rid of a couple of them because I used to have a lot more because I'm always looking for concealers, trying concealers. Some of them I didn't keep, not because they were bad, but because I couldn't afford to keep them. And it was kind of like a luxury item that wasn't like that much of a luxury, but once you start adding up, I mean, I guess it wasn't luxury in the terms of like the price was really high. Sorry, I'm looking outside because I feel like I saw some sort of weird animal out there. Forget that. Okay, so not that the price was really high, but that once you start adding up a $3 concealer here, 4 here, 5 here, 10 here, you know, it starts to add up, and I just couldn't really afford it at the time. I still really can't, and I don't keep products that I don't love for the most part. If I can't return them for whatever reason, then obviously I do keep them, and a lot of times I'll try to use them even if I don't like them, just because I don't like to waste my money. So here we go. We will start out with this concealer. This is the Essence Camouflage Plus Matte Concealer. It says waterproof tattoo covering. It is not tattoo covering because it couldn't even really completely conceal my dark under eyes. Now this shade is the shade 02 Light Ivory. I'll give you a swatch. I'll probably try and swatch all of these. It has a thin consistency. Oh, I've got a little bit of a, just ignore that. My liner that I was testing out earlier. It has a thin consistency. It's really light, so it's a little bit too light for me to use as a full concealer, like all under my whole under eye, because, or over my whole under eye, I should say, because it's just too light, so it just makes everything look gray. And ladies, again, I'm 41 years old, so not only do I need a good concealer that's not too crusty, but I'm also having like a ton of hot flashes. So if you see my face starting to look red or me starting to sweat profusely, hot flashes, my friend. Okay, so that's that one. This is really inexpensive, so if you don't have a lot to cover, like I have a ton to cover, then, and you can check my other videos to see kind of the before and after kind of deal. It is a good concealer. It's not too crusty. It does have good coverage. So if you don't have as much to cover as I do, and you just need your just a concealer of some kind that's not too expensive, this one can be your guy. Essence products are usually pretty decent, and they're all really inexpensive. And since we're talking about Essence, I have this one as well. This is the Essence Camouflage Full Coverage Concealer. I don't know if they still sell this or if this replaced it, but this was the first Essence concealer that I have gotten and tried. And this also is the shade, it's actually 10 Nude, but this also is too light. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of swatch of that. Oh yeah, you see how much lighter. So I use this in this little hollow right here to try and conceal the that shadow right there, so it makes my eye bag look less pronounced. This is not a full coverage. It says Camouflage Full Coverage Concealer. It is not. It's a decent concealer, so if you need an inexpensive, again, concealer that's just your everyday average concealer that has decent coverage, then this might be your guy. Inexpensive. You can find them at CVS, Meijer sometimes, and then also online and at Ulta. So there's that. This one is the Sleek Sleek Life Proof Concealer in the shade 04 Vanilla Chai. Okay, this, you get a lot of product in. This one is 0.25. Standard concealers are usually about 0.2, so you get 0.25. So you get more, but not as much as they're trying to make you think it is, because like this looks really big compared to this one. This one you get, if they put it on there. Oh yeah, so see, this one is 0.16. Yeah, 0.16 fluid ounces. So they're really trying to trick you a little bit to make you think you're getting more. You're not really getting that much more. This one's at the top here. I liked this one. I feel like it had good coverage, but again, nothing is ever full coverage on me. This says, what does it say? It just says Life Proof Concealer. I don't know what the claims are on this, but it is a decent shade. It's a little bit darker than the rest of these, and ordinarily for concealers, for me, I have to have something that will color correct and conceal at the same time, so I'm not putting 10 products on my eyes. So this shade worked out a little bit better than these other two shades, but again, it wasn't full coverage. It was good coverage. It does have a It has a weird smell. Yeah, it's a really weird, almost like paint-like smell. So if your eyes are really sensitive, that might bother you. Most cosmetics burn my eyes regardless. Foundations, eyeshadows, mascaras, concealers, they all almost always do. So it's just the level of burning. Like if I'm like, whoa, my eyes are way burning, I usually try and narrow it down to which product it was. None of these have burned my eyes, even though some of them do have scents. So that's that. I can't remember how much this was, but I want to say it was less than $10. I should probably, I'll see if I can't look that up and put it in the description. We'll see if I can put stuff in the description. I never do. I always forget. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's all I can say. All right, next one is the Morphe, I think it's Fluidity Concealer. I don't know what the claims are on this. It doesn't really say anything on the package here. It doesn't even say really how much is in it. Hold on. Yes, it does. Oh, 0.15 fluid ounces, which is not good for concealers, are usually 0.2. That is the shade. You see how it's got a little bit of that oranginess to it, but it's also a little bit brighter than this one. This one's a little bit more beige and a bit more dark, but the fact of that this is slightly orangey and looking really bright really worked. I actually really like this concealer. I don't think it's full coverage. Nothing is ever full coverage on me, but it's good coverage. It isn't expensive, but at the end of the day, like the amount of product that you get compared to some of these lower costs, I want to say this was about $10, but you're getting less product, so you're actually paying more. Okay, does that make sense? Anyway, so I did like this one. Oh, I didn't even give them my grades. Okay, so I think these are all your solid B concealers. This one is an A in my book for me. I don't like the price. I think it's a little bit costly, but again, I mean, we're talking about a concealer here. If you're probably not going to use too much concealer, so it'll last you for a good long time. It's not that expensive and it is good, so that one gets an A from me. But again, shade is really important, especially for me. If you have a lot to cover, look into getting a shade that's maybe not your skin tone shade, but it can kind of fool the eye into thinking that it's all one shade by color correcting and concealing at the same time. Okay, next up, this one is the Juvia's Place I Am Magic Concealer. I was just trying to think of the name. This is a huge bottle of concealer. You will never run out of this concealer. And if you like your skin to be like completely full coverage, you might even look into using this as a foundation. I did it once and it really covered. The only problem is the shade, because I had to get, for concealer, I have to have a different shade than my actual skin tone. It has to be a little bit darker and a little bit peachier. My regular skin tone has a tiny bit of peach and it's mostly yellow toned, but this shade was just slightly off. So if you're looking into wanting to use a concealer as a foundation because you want more coverage, then make sure you get the right shade. Okay, so anyway, this has 0.34 fluid ounces, which is not quite twice the amount, but pretty close as an average concealer. You will never run out of this if you get it. That's this one. It's a little bit lighter than this. I would have liked to have this in this shade, would be better for my under eyes. But again, it has that brightening tone to it. And it really does cover. I think of all the concealers that I have right now, this is probably the best coverage that I have. This one gets an A because it's a little bit dewy, so it looks nice. Well, I'm gonna give it an A- because it does tend to crease up a little bit on me, but it's really good coverage. It is really nice. I wanna say it was about $17, $16, $17. So it is a little bit pricey, but you're getting a lot of product and you'll never run out of this. So if you're looking for like the most amount of concealer that you can possibly get, you might look into getting this, and you want a liquid. So this one, and it gets an A- from me. Okay, next one. This has been my favorite for a couple of months. It is the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer. And it says satin finish in the shade light peach. Oh, this one, by the way, was the shade 20. They're all named after cities for the I Am Magic one, so you'll have to look online and see, or go to the store. I always suggest going to the store so you can actually see it in person, see what it looks like under the lights, see if you can test it if they're doing testers anymore, or at least open it so that you can kind of see the actual shade of the product. Sometimes it looks one way, and then when you get it on your skin, it looks a different way. That's it. So what did I say? A- for that. Okay, so again, shade names, are all going to be on the website. e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer. Light Peach, really good. This one's been my favorite. It's good coverage, not full coverage, nothing ever is, but it is very brightening, very brightening. I could probably almost stand to go down to this shade though. This seems to be like the best shade for my under eyes for color correcting. This is almost, I still use it all the time, but it's almost too light. It's even lighter than this one. So this one seems to be the best shade, which was the Morphe one, which there's no shade names on the tube. So I'll try and get that in the description. We'll see. But again, it's really good. It's got good coverage. It's hydrating. So it doesn't look dry and crusty, but it doesn't crease too bad on me either. So that's really good. Okay. And that one's just going to get an A from me. All right, this is the NYX Born to Glow Radiant Concealer. Looks like this in the shade Vanilla. It's got one of these puffy applicator tips. Whoops, I just squeezed out a little tiny bit too much on that one. I didn't love this one. It seemed like an average concealer, and what I really didn't like is right here, this tip. This is gonna explode on me someday. It just is. It's every time you squeeze it, the top of it is coming off more and more and more, and it's just going to explode on me someday. So that's why this one is going to get a B and maybe even a B minus, because this coverage was not great. That's the shade. Shade wasn't good for me, and I don't hold that against the concealer. Like that was my fault for not picking the right shade, but it just wasn't that great. It was okay. It was expensive. I want to say it was like $12 or something. It was too expensive for what you're getting, I feel like. So for me, it gets a B. Wasn't that radiant either, and let's see how much product you get. And you get 0.17 fluid ounces, so it's close to being an average amount, but I don't know. All right, this next one is really good. It is the Bare Minerals Concealer Correcting Concealer in the shade Light 2. It's the Potted Concealer. It's this shade right here. It's a correcting concealer, so it does precisely that. And this is the shade. Now, this is perfect. It's pretty close to this one, actually. This is perfect for no makeup days, light makeup days. Now, it doesn't look like much. Like, it doesn't look like it's giving much coverage. It doesn't look like it'd be that great, but it's very thin and it's very color correcting. It's very natural looking. So if you're looking for natural, like the most natural concealer that you can find, this is your guy. Now, all of these look pretty good on the skin. They all look very, natural on your skin, not like it's too much cake and just gross and crusty looking, but this one is the best that I found for natural looking coverage concealer. It is $20. $20. I never, ever, ever would have purchased this if I didn't do makeup videos, unless I was watching a makeup video and they said, this is the most natural looking coverage that you can get, then I would probably splurge. But again, only if I was looking for a concealer, didn't have a concealer. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 concealers here. Okay. I would never, if I had a concealer, I would not get this. I would only get this if I was running out or ran out of my concealer, needed a concealer, and wanted the most natural, best coverage concealer that I could find out. I mean, obviously, it's not the best coverage, but it's so good at correcting that it looks like it has more coverage than it actually has. It looks very natural. It's really nice. I really like it. $20, pretty steep though, just gotta say it. And I'm also very cheap. I do not like to spend $20, but sometimes if you go to their outlet stores or their outlet online shops or whatever, find a sale, you might be able to get it for cheaper. So that's that. Okay, this is the last one. It is the Revolution, Makeup Revolution Conceal and Fix Ultimate Coverage Concealer with salicylic acid, and it is in the shade Light Sand. I already told you the shade of that one, so. Okay, it is a pot concealer, and let's see if it tells me. It is 0.39 ounces. I don't know what the comparison would be if this was in a liquid. I do know that because it's in a pot form, it's probably going to last you a very long time, just as long, if not longer, than a liquid concealer. So I use it with a brush, so you can kind of see the brush marks in there. It is not the lightest shade, but I feel like it's still a little too light. Yeah, it's still a little too light for my under eyes. It has really good coverage and looks really pretty on the skin. It's very glowy. It didn't crease too much, but it's got really good coverage. So I do like this. I almost want to go back and get a darker shade so I can see if I can color correct more with it, because it's really nice. It just is way too light. Like, it's, of all these, it's the lightest. So this one's running a close second though. Anyway, oh, and by the way, this Bare Minerals one gets an A+ from me. So good. This one is going to get, I would say, an A, because it's good and you get a lot of product and you're not going to run out. It's just, I think for me, it's just the shade, and that's not the concealer's fault. So I'm just going to give it the A. But it just depends on if you like solid concealers like this. I have heard that the solid concealers usually offer more coverage, and this one does. Like, it really does have good coverage. I probably will end up going back and getting a darker shade, because it really is nice, just to try it and see if it's gonna beat out my the e.l.f. one. Okay, now a couple of honorable mentions. I'm going to go ahead and say I don't have them with me because they just got too old and I had to throw them away, but the Hard Candy Sheer Envy color correcting concealer, the orange one, is really, really good. Looks very natural on the skin. I've got a whole playlist of concealer, so if you're interested in seeing my thoughts on other concealers that I didn't talk about here, check that out. But there's a couple of them that were really good. There was another Revolution one that was kind of like the It Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye concealer dupe kind of thing. That had really good coverage, just couldn't keep it. It was just, I just had too much. So that's a good one. So yeah, check out that playlist. I would link it, but I don't know how. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that was helpful to you for choosing concealers, and don't forget to thumbs up, like this video, subscribe, ding my bell, and I will see you in the next one.